Hey all, it's Henry Contreras, Henry Loco Contreras. It's today's the 30th, June 30th, maybe. Anyway, it's almost 4th of July. I'm just kicking back out here on my porch, kind of cooling off, kind of stuffy in my art room. You know, we got two AC units, but of course we're just trying to use one, and so we sacrifice some rooms for the other. And of course, my art room is the one that gets hot. So anyway, I'm out here in the front porch, just kind of cooling off. Just wanted to give a little history about myself and how I started this whole Fresno underground art thing and helping other artists and just kind of what I went through. You know, I've always been drawing. Since I was little, third grade, fourth grade. Doing hand lettering and stuff like that, and went to junior high and took some crafts classes, like a wood shop class. Then took some vocational classes and printing. Got into printing after my junior year of high school. Went and worked for a big print house here in Fresno called Certified Ad, and did that. And then along those lines, back then I kind of started falling in love with printing a bit. I really wanted to get into the whole graphic design part, but I started kind of digging the printing part, and so I did that for quite a while. I worked in printing shops on the tail end, the production side, and then I did that for a while, and then I got into screen printing, and that's how I got into doing T-shirts and stuff like that. And so I've always had that kind of in my background, like that's as a foundation. But then I was always working that had something to do with printing or the creative process or something ever since I was 18 years old. So I got plenty of experience in production with printing, offset printing, advertisements, stuff like that. And then of course I also have a screen printing background, screen printing decals and posters and all that stuff. But somewhere along the line I kind of fell in love more with the screen printing part. It just felt a little more organic to me. But I've always liked the process, of coming up with the idea, sketching it out, and then really, to me, what excites me is kind of like following it through to the end, And I think because of all my printing background, that has helped me with how I approach design. You know what I mean? I used to have a screen printing shop where I screen printed T-shirts, here in Fresno, my own shop. And so you find out real quick that, at least I did, if you can make a design look appealing or catch a person's eye, and you can do it in one or two colors, maybe three colors, that's something that kind of became a necessity for me, doing my own screen printing, because, you go out to, a customer that has, I don't know, a pizza parlor or something, trying to get the sale to them to buy shirts, and then you start talking about prices, and they're like, okay, well, how much does it cost? And you're like, well, for every screen, it's a $25 charge for the screen and setup, on and on and on. So if you do a design and it's like 5 colors, 6 colors, whatever, the guy's gonna be spending a whole lot of money just in screen charges. So if you can condense it down and to 2 or 3 colors, even 1 color, I think just from me doing it so much, because my feeling is that if you have less colors to work with, it makes the composition stronger, or it forces you to make the composition stronger. So anyway, that's how I learned that, and that's how I approach stuff, because I found out that the artwork or the design itself is what's going to catch the person's eye. Now, you can be creative and come up with different colors and stuff, but if you can capture people's attention with just one color or two colors, like maybe the t-shirt is a color, and the ink, it's something that that I've kind of done through the years, and I think it's effective. But that's just a little bit about me and kind of where my brain's at through the whole design process stuff. But then back in 2011, I did the 99 Golden Ale logo for Tioga Sequoia Beer Garden, and that really exploded things for me. That gave me an open door to do art hops at Tioga Sequoia. I did them pretty non-stop there for a couple years, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Right before that happened, I was like in a weird place. I was working, busting my ass, putting in the hours, doing the responsible thing. Luckily, my wife always kind of let me still do my art stuff, and no real direction for it. Like, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. I'm going to do these designs, I'm going to sell shirts, and then not follow through. It was just kind of a mixed mosh. But then again, of course, I was married, I had kids, had to support them first. So that's kind of the way I am. It's like they get taken care of first. The bills, the responsibility of being a parent, that comes first and foremost. And what I do beyond that is secondary, and that's just the way I am. That's just how I was raised. So, like I said, luckily my wife always let me do these other things. And, don't get me wrong, I drive her crazy with this shit I do on the side, and, I get focused, and I get obsessed, but luckily she lets me do it, because, that's my passion, and she knows it, So anyway, I started doing these shows at Tioga Sequoia. I got a chance, to kind of prove myself. And also at that time, like I kind of going back to what I was talking about, is I was really unhappy, but not knowing why I was unhappy, just kind of in the thick of it, And so I just felt myself getting bitter. I just felt myself getting bitter about little trite things, and I was drinking too much. And, when you're doing that, you don't really see it, because when you're drinking or whatever it is, you don't see it, you just don't. And that's just how I was, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would go to work, and I would never, after I got this last job I pretty much eliminated drinking during the weekdays. And, I probably quit drinking about 12 years ago, and, not like 100%, I drank here and there, but nothing like the way I used to drink when I was young. When I was young, I was on a tear, so I got a chance to do this art thing at Tioga Sequoia, and my whole approach to it was, once I started kind of figuring out what kind of time was going to be involved, and that I was going to have to put a lot of attention into it, there I was on the fence, like, is it going to make me any money? Am I going to reap the rewards, But I kind of had to put that out of my head. And I told myself, this is something that you can build on. And eventually, if things go well for you, I would be able to take that audience wherever I wanted, you know. And that's another thing. Another thing that I was dealt with early on was, you know, as it would start growing and more people would come, next thing you know, I have these other entities coming at me, wanting to be part of it. Like as an example, one time when I was probably maybe 6 to 8 months into my shows at Toga Sequoia, and all of a sudden I get a email or phone call or something from Red Bull, you know, that they want to do something with me. And of course, I looked at it as a great opportunity, but at the same time, I was like, kind of cautious, you know. And so I had asked a guy that I know that deals with those types of things and deals with those types of sponsorships, you know, like, you know, I kind of just ran it by him, you know, and he said, well, you know, you should charge them. He goes, how many people go to this event? You know, what's your average amount of people that show up there? And I said, well, I don't know. The last time I did it, you know, I don't know, 300-400 people. He goes, well, then charge them like $7-8 a head, you know. And I'm just kind of looking kind of shocked at him, you know. And he's like, well, if you have the crowd, you have the crowd, and they know this, and they have budgets. They have budgets for this. So, you know, if they want to be part of what you're doing, because they know you have the crowd, he says, you know, you charge them accordingly. He goes, otherwise, you know, have them go out there on Blackstone and put up their, you know, Red Bull stand and see what happens, you know. So I didn't follow through with it, only because it was new territory for me, and also I kind of had the feeling like, you know, they're going to latch onto something that I created, and then it's going to me, might have this kind of corporate feel to it, you know, and then also like, okay, if I let this one in, you know, another one's going to come and ask me or whatever, and so next thing you know, my Fresno underground art thing is going to have this corporate kind of feel to it, and that's not what I wanted, you know. So I passed on it, but you know, you get all these things that happen along the way, you know, and you just have to deal with them, and that was just one of them, you know. And so I pretty much stuck to my guns. You know, the one thing that I've tried to do, and it's not always easy, is to be as authentic as I can with who I am, the art I create, the people I work with. And you're never going to satisfy everybody. You know, you're always going to have some people griping or whatever, and it's just the way it is. You know, you can't just take that stuff to heart, you know. I mean, I've had people tell me some pretty ridiculous stuff, but, you know, you just kind of take it on the chin and you just move on to the next thing, you know. You just kind of have to be professional about it, you know. And then whatever goes on behind the scenes, you know, whether it's fair or not fair or whatever, that's where you keep it, you know. You don't go and post that type of stuff on Facebook or Instagram or you know, call people on this or that. That's just not professional. You know, you just don't do that. You know, and that happened to me, sort of. You know, I was getting kind of like feeling like, you know, that they were making more money than me, and you know, all that kind of stuff, and I was getting kind of bitter there, you know. And so luckily my wife, she saw for what it was worth, and she just flat out asked me, you know, why did you start doing this? What was your purpose of doing this when you started it? And that's all I needed to hear, because the reason why I started it was to help other artists get a place to be or a place to show their art. And you know, yes, it's just a one-off show, but I'm recording. But it built up. It started happening, and I started having, because the way I look at it is that, to me, it doesn't matter who your influences are. It could be graffiti, it could be lowrider, it could be skateboard, it could be tattooing, it could be tagging, screen printing, anime, cartoons, whatever it is that influence you to pick up a pencil or to start airbrushing. That's what I look for, is people that have the passion. You know what I mean? People that are going to do it regardless. Because I've always felt that you can't teach passion. You just can't. Either you're passionate about something or you're not. And when I first started doing these shows, I'd have people want to be on one of my shows, and they would, I would, with everybody, I would say, okay, well, send me some samples of your art. I'd like to see what you got going. And at the beginning, it was tough. It was really tough for me because, I was never in that type of position where I had to pick out whether I felt it was good enough or not, and it didn't set well with me at first. But at the same time, I was like, well, I want it to be a good show. And, if I'm throwing the show, my name is kind of, stamped on the show. So, you'd get that email or that private message, and I see the artwork. And the way I always take it is I have to get that automatic reaction from when I see the art. I just look at it and boom, that's badass. That's what I need to get. And if I don't get that, then, I'm just like, I don't know. So then there were times where I would ask my wife or ask one of my friends, hey, this guy, what do you think? And, they would just tell me. And so usually I was pretty spot on. But, it was just mainly giving local artists, somewhat underground artists, a place to show their art. And as it went along, you just kind of figure things out, at first it was just like, well, here's the artwork on the walls, and if you want to buy it, it's this much, that much. But as time went on, you start realizing that you can have artists that do these pieces. Let's say they do 2 or 3 pieces of art, but they're going to want anywhere from $100 to $300 for that original, and that's kind of a hard sell. That's to your average person. So what I started to do is told the artist, okay, this is what we'll do. This is the theme of the show, whether it's Dia de los Muertos, whether it's Tim Burton tribute show, or Lucho de Mayo. We're going to have these walls, and you can do 1 or 2 art pieces of that theme, But other than that, bring a table, bring all your other art. It doesn't have to be the theme of the show, and sell your stuff. I want you to sell art, and that seemed to really work, because you're getting all these different flavors of artists, you know what I mean? And it really started to do well, and the shows would do well. But it took a while, it took a while for that to happen, It didn't happen overnight, and it's just tenacity, it's just tenacity. It's not approaching every show as the same as the last show. It's kind of taking a picture of what's going on and adjusting to what's going on a little, trying to come up with really different themes, it's been a lot of fun, it's been a lot of fun, and I still enjoy it, and so if you're out there trying to do your own thing, and it's funny because I've had artists that I've worked with, and I can tell that they're passionate, and I can tell that their artwork is good. This guy's got the chops, and at the beginning of them doing shows with me, they would be struggling, You know, they would be struggling, like, man, you know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And so I would tell them, I said, look, you just keep doing it. You just keep doing it. Eventually, you will figure it out. Because what works for me might not work for you. And what works for you might not work for this person. So you have to just keep doing the show. And it's hard. It's really tough because, you know, you're out there and you're kind of like, man, don't people get it? Don't people get it? You know, and it's a little bit of a blow to your ego, but you just keep doing it, and eventually you'll figure it out. You'll figure out what sells well for you and what, you know. I went through with my wife because my wife makes her own handmade jewelry, you know, and she went through it too. You know, she was like, man, you know, what's going on here? And I just said, you gotta just keep doing it. You gotta just keep doing it, and eventually you'll figure it out. You know, I have my buddy Roski. He went through the same thing, you know, and he found out what works for him. You know, he does all these different stickers, you know, and he's doing really well with them, you know. And but it's tough, you know. It's tough, especially if you're trying to raise a family, you know. But you just have to adjust and adapt, you know. Adjust and adapt. Like right now with the whole coronavirus thing going on, you know. My best advice to anybody is, you know, figure it out online. You know, figure it out where, you know, we know there's not going to be any shows, you know, for who knows how long. So if you make videos or a virtual art show or something to that effect, you know, just push that, you know, and give it your best shot, and just don't get discouraged, you know, because it's real easy to get discouraged right now, you know, with all this going on. So anyway, I know I've been rambling here for a while, but just something that I was wanting to do, and just to kind of talk about what I did and how I did it. And, you know, it's not easy. It's never easy, you know, but you grow from it, you know. You definitely grow from it. So I've got things in the works right now, and but I still have a full-time job. You know, through this whole thing I've been doing, I've had a full-time job, you know, and it gets tricky sometimes, you know. Got to go to work super early to get out to go do a show, and then don't get home till 11 or 12 o'clock, and then go back and work in the morning. But, you know, it's the passion that drives you. You know, it's the passion that drives it, you know. So anyway, I hope this is helpful to you guys. I'll talk to you later.